that works. I do this not to ruin the magic. If anything, it's to deepen your appreciation. Because once you see how much work goes in that 2 seconds worth of magic, you will respect every magician you ever meet for the rest of your life that much more. Here's how it works. I'm serious, there's a reason why I say this is the hardest card trick I know. Remember I showed you Spock, not Spock? Very important. You take the not Spock and curl in the 2 middle fingers. Then you're going to hold on to the playing card between the thumb and the 2 curled in fingers with just a little bit of that nail showing. Now you're going to touch the pointer finger and the pinky finger to the top and bottom of the playing cards with the middle segments only. You're going to wave your arm through the air. On the count of 3, the larger motion of the arm moving is going to cover the smaller motion of these 2 fingers clamping down and these 2 fingers straightening out. So at full speed it looks like this. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to stop and turn around so you can see exactly what just transpired. I am literally clipping the card between all 4 of my fingers so that nary a corner is even showing on my hand. But wait, I hear you thinking, you showed us the back of your hand. Darn tootin' I did in order to show you the back of the hand. I have to move it to the front of the hand. That takes 4 separate moves, which exposed look like this. 1, 2, 3. Whoa, I messed it up even though I was showing it to you. 1, 2, 3, 4. There it is. Now I can show you the back of the hand. And in order to show you the front of the hand, I have to move it back to the back of the hand. Same 4 moves in reverse. 4, 3, 2, 1. Curl my fingers, grab the corner of the playing card, straighten all my fingers out behind it, tilt it back in an upright position so it looks like nothing moved to begin with. So, that 2 seconds of magic you saw, it's over a dozen moves, which at full speed look like this. Tilt, curl, straighten. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, curl, straighten, tilt. Thank you. Now, the other reason I feel completely comfortable showing you this is because that is the basics. That is the equivalent of learning 2 + 2 = 4 in a world of quantum physics. Because now, imagine instead of doing that with just 1 playing card, imagine that with all 52 playing cards simultaneously. Of all 52 cards, that's not 52. I have 1 too many. It's 53. I think I left a joker in here. Hold on 1 second. Go ahead. Yeah, I don't need the joker for this one because, well, the joker is me. There's always a joker in the pack. There's always a cardboard clown. The poor frightened fool falls on his back, and everyone laughs when he's down. There's always a funny man in the game, but he's only funny by mistake. Everyone laughs at him just the same. They don't see his painted heart parade. They don't care as long as there is a jester, just a fool, as foolish as he can be. There's always a joker, that's the rule, but fate deals the hand and I see. The joker is me. In the game, but he's only funny by mistake. Everyone laughs at him, just the same wolf fight. Can't see his painted heart break. Let's see if I can do it. Yes! They don't care as long as there is a jester, just a fool, as foolish as he can be. There's always a joker, that's the rule, but fate deals the hand and I see. The joker is me. Woo! The joker is me. The joker is me. Oh God! Oh God! It was an illusion. They weren't really in my mouth. But just to be safe, hold on. Safety first. All right. Me.
All right. There you are.
Thank you so much, everybody. My name is Actually, hold on one second. What time is it? Do we? Oh, you know what? Roland, can we do one more? Do we have time for one more? Yes.
Yeah.
if I make you late to Yes No Game Show or Marriage Man or whatever's happening tonight, I apologize in advance. I'm going to do one more quick one for you all, and then I'll let you go into the night, and hopefully I'll see you around. After these shows, I usually go hang out at a bar or the Hollywood Conservatory, so if you see me around, like I said, feel free to say hello. I really do want to meet you all. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so much. I have proof, actually. So one of my favorite magicians, one of my inspirations is Howard Thurston, and he used to do this thing where before every show he'd peek out through the curtain as the audience was arriving, and he would whisper to them under his breath, "I love you, I love you, I love you," so that when he walked out he'd be filled with gratitude. And he wouldn't feel the need to, make jokes at his audience's expense or demean their intelligence in any way, shape, or form, which is what I always aspire to do, is do a smart show for smart people and not pick on anybody. And to show my appreciation, I do this. I have this teal confetti that I've been throwing the whole night. Seems like a silly bit, but it's important because of this. Have you ever seen teal confetti for sale? No, you haven't, because nobody makes it. I make it. I cut every single piece by hand. I buy sheets of Caribbean teal tissue paper. I take my teal scissors, I cut every piece by hand. If you don't believe me, look at the stage of the stage. No two pieces are the exact same shape and size, because I really do this. You can ask anyone I've ever worked with. So really, every time I throw a handful of confetti up in the air, it's my way of letting you know you are worth 20 minutes of my time. Thank you for being here. And I love you, I love you, I love you. Lovely folks get to see the hardest thing that I have in any of my shows, in my repertoire. It involves my jacket, not this jacket over here, but the one that Roland has got over there. Bring on the jacket, Roland. This, everyone, is a straight jacket, also known as a restraint jacket. You've probably seen some other entertainers escape from one of these before, but have you ever seen one escape from a straight jacket while singing a particularly difficult Italian aria? No? Well, you're going to tonight. Excellent. I just want everyone to see that normally someone else puts me into the straitjacket. Since we aren't allowed to do that right now, Roland's going to do it for me. Come on over here. I want everyone to see that this is leather, double-stitched onto canvas, complete with stainless steel buckets and rivets. There's no elastic, there's no Velcro that's going to rip open to help me escape. And I'm going to finish the last of this water because this song is hard. Excellent. All right, here we go. I'm going to hop on in here. Thank you. Now I want you all to keep an eye on Roland as he's doing this as tightly as possible. There's 4 buckles that start on the right that go directly to the 4 straps on the right that go directly to buckles on the left. And the longer I'm on a ship, the longer I have unlimited buffets, the tighter this gets. Woo! There it is. Yes. All right. And now we're going to go ahead and do the arms. I want everyone to notice that I'm locking my right arm underneath my left elbow. So it's not starting halfway up the arm already. And you're really going to do this as tightly as possible. I will even exhale all my air so I can't cheat. Go, 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 go. There you go. Oh, let's go working out. Go. All right. I cannot take a full breath. I can't exhale to get slack either. Thank you very much. Legs, yes. And now he's going to do this one as tightly as possible. Yep, go for it, go. Don't stop until it looks like a peach with a rubber band around it. There you go. Oh, yeah, that is nice and tight. Yeah, that is right. Everyone round applause for Roland. Thank you so much, Roland. Anyone who doesn't believe that he really did that as tightly as possible, may I present Exhibits A and B. Sometimes Exhibits A and B are together. Tonight they are not. This is interesting for me. This is my night now. This is my night now. Here it is, the straitjacket escape. I also want to point out that in addition to him doing this as tightly as possible, this is the worst position to sing in. I am squeezing my own diaphragm from the sides. I'm forced to hunch over and I cannot take a full breath. On top of that, might I also mention I have asthma as well. Luckily, I've never had I had an asthma attack once while doing this, and that was awkward. But today, hopefully not one of those days. So here it is, the straitjacket escape. For you lovely, lovely 8:30 audience. It's 8:30, right? Is that the time of the show? Good. You lose track, especially on days when they bump you for Santa Claus. This lovely 8:30 audience on the Majestic Princess, I will escape from this straitjacket while singing Nessun Dorma. Nessun dorma, Next time we need to budget more water in that glass. All right, I know first that I'm gonna. The theme There it is.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Cheers. Thank you very much. That's it for you folks. I love it.
All right.
Good night, everybody. We'll see you around the trip.
Oye, vamos al cuarto.
Nghe bà hiểu không?
Hiểu gì đó.
Cầm chí luôn.
Kìa theo cái đảo đó nấu điện á. Cái gì đó? Alan đó gì? Gì vậy anh?
Sandstone.
Hả?
Sandstone.
Đúng rồi, nó theo nó điện qua đất liền đó.
Vô đứng cái này chút xíu.
Đi đi. Còn chạy đó.
Cái tour mà đi cái Alfaro này nè, nó cho lên. Hiểu không? Chỉ có đi cái này không thôi. Watch out nè ba nè. Ồ, còn nữa bà ơi.
Đi đi đi, biết rồi đâu. Tới kìa.
Dale.
Sí.
Sobrinas de Miriam andan con él. Ellas, ¿no ves que están serias como los muchachos?
Merry Christmas.
Gracias igualmente. Merry Christmas.
Tới nữa. Đúng nước. Rượt.
Air conditioned theater and sound system for a show, for a dancing show.
Oh, cruise ship. Okay.
And down below there are 3-4 lines for you to spell your comment. And I can do better, but you like it what you do. I got pens, so one per party will be good enough. If it's a party, just information. No, back to the ship, and then the beach, the water taxi will be closer from there than from downtown.
So is that still fine? Okay. So just one bag.
Ra anh thích mễ à? Anh cho tiền bao nhiêu anh cũng cho hết á.
Mặc dù là một quẹo $1 rồi. Dẹp một hôm trước vào Kiên Thành ở Việt Nam nó ai được IT classes. Trong sự công.
Này cái chừng này đi cẩn thận nha.
Đá này nó làm khôn. You know, it's kind of
Friction, yeah.
And lớn nó không có làm smooth. Nên nó design ngu. Oh boy. Cái hai house này còn working đấy nha ba nhà. Bên nó có đèn đó. Cái này sao đi ra em thấy đâu có đường nào mà đi ra được đâu.
Đi ra nào?
Cái đường đi bộ đó đâu có
Đâu đấy đi bộ đó, đi ferry mà.
Thì đó ba nói làm sao đi.
Ai nói đi ra được. Go down to the bottom of the lighthouse.
Như vậy bây giờ mẹ phải tìm chỗ nào ngồi trong cái lều đó là tắm mát mới được.
Chưa đi gì à? Đi vào coi trước khi tắm. Vì không tắm nữa, đi coi thôi. Đấy.
Easy going. Mẹ nó easy going.
Easy going.
Thầy banana boat nè. Vậy mình tới đây đi cho nó gần chứ còn tội gì mà đi Phuket đấy.
Rồi đi hay đó, đi rồi hay đấy không này nè.
Tụi mẹ nó ý hơn tụi mà tụi Thái á nha.
Thấy nhiều.
Mẹ nó easy going, nó phân hơn. Bởi vì em nói bà Hằng người Việt Nam với người Mễ mà mướn, anh không có cho Việt Nam mướn. Anh chọn Mễ, bà nói vậy hả? Yeah. Chứ nhiều người ta sợ Mễ mà Việt Nam sợ Mễ lắm. Em cấm chỗ cái nhà thờ này đằng trước đi.
Y de todo ser muerto y misericordia díganos, a contemplar a los hermanos, ten misericordia de todos nosotros, y así por María, la Virgen Madre de Dios, su esposo San José, los apóstoles, y cuando vivieron la amistad de los tiempos, merecidos Padre omnipotente, en la unidad del Espíritu Santo, todo lo la gloria por los siglos de los siglos, hermanos.
Her own beach.
Oh.
The pink point.
Oh. Is the old town here?
No, this is downtown.
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 A lot of copper stone road, huh?
Yeah, they're back to my suspension.
That's when this is old. Giống như là bên gì đó ba, giống như là bên
These ones, they are the first rolls that they make right here.
Oh, first row?
The first roll.
Okay. Long? How long? How long?
They got more than 100 years.
More than 100 years. That's why this one roll like this.
Yeah.
A lot of American visitors come here?
Yeah, we have a lot of Americans living right here.
Oh, living here. And American people living here too? Oh, here? Oh. How much how much approximately the house here cost?
Like a $3 million.
$3 million or peso?
Dollar.
$3 peso is nothing.
3 million peso, I can buy 10.
Thêm không ạ?
Hôm trước không đi thầy?
Thấy không có lợi gì hết, thôi bỏ cho rồi. Mất mấy ngàn.
What's the name of location here?
Conchachinas.
Contachina. Oh.
Cái này mà mình đi chắc mình không dám lái tới đây đâu mà. Đây cái đồi này. Ocho Cascada. Cascada là phải cái pho không ta? Cascada là như là cascade đó.
Cascada is like a waterfall.
Yeah, like waterfall. That's what I thought. Giống như tiếng Mỹ là cascade. Cascada. Wow, even though here hả? Cái đường.
It has to be out of nylon, like this one.
Ủa đi luôn cả ngày EMA luôn cái chị nha. Chị biết bút cái cổ rồi đó, rồi cái bị pandemic đó. Chị biết chứ, chị bút đi với cổ đi mà EMA đó. Rồi xong rồi bị pandemic thì cancel rồi tới giờ không biết chị lấy được tiền chưa nữa.
Chắc là có thể là đi.
So where you go next?
You're going to another view where you can see the big rocks.
Big Rock?
And they have like a little market over there.
Oh, little market.
Chả là mình đi mình phải biết cái bộ brochure chứ không phải là mình phải tự mình design, chứ đừng có để cho nó design. Sáng nay thì mình cứ đi vội vội để mẹ xuống cái chỗ mà customer service lấy cái tờ giấy của tụi nó, cái tour của tụi thuyền nó đi á. Giống như hôm qua đó, ba đi chơi nhiều mà ba không có để ý cái đó mà. Đi làm sao mình design, mình muốn đi đâu mình phải design chứ. Đi theo nó sao được. Lần trước ba đi tới đây rồi, ba đi.
Hey, good, good.
Take a picture, look!
The name is Taona City. 100 years ago, people
Cái chỗ này nó
Làm rất kỳ lạ.
nghiền ra, nó nghiền ra.
Nó ngâm cái đá thì trong 15 They bleed a horse. They tie the horse on that rock is Taona rock. And walk around as much to the pineapple get thick honey. When we got the honey, we put it on the bag for 1 week. After 1 week, we no more call honey, we call mustard because of fermentation. They should have separated together. After that, we have to make a distillation. I'll show you what. This place, the name is El Alambique. El Alambique have to make a distillation. On the top, running cold water. The water don't go in because we have the cold. The cold is just going to the cold water. On here, put the honey making fermentation under making fire, waiting 110 degrees. Hot, before running still makes tequila. But the further distillation contains chemicals like ethanol, methanol, and acetone. If you drink like that, maybe you don't see, you don't know, you don't walk. High level to the alcohol, danger for the body. We make it third time. Third distillation, we got the silver tequila. Silver tequila is good for me. Piña colada, margarita, whatever. Because blanco little stronger. We make it more smooth. We put in the white oak barrel like this. White oak, we don't have in Mexico. We buy from US, company Jack Daniel, on Memphis, Tennessee. They use that barrel for making whiskey. We use that barrel for making red tequila. After 2 months, change the color. Look like amber color. But we leave for 11 months. All smooth. We're making the best tequila. The best tequila called añejo, aged tequila. Añejo comes from 2 words, año and viejo. After 1 year for añejo. And we live for 5 years.
Oh, really?
This is for
So the best tequila is...
not for friends. That's for you. Now, let's go try it.
So I have a question. How long you fermented in this thing? How long?
1 week.
Oh, 1 week. Okay. Then 1 week you transfer to best barrel for how long?
For 11 months.
11 months.
Reposado, fresh. And the best, añejo. After 1 year for añejo, and 1 year for 5 years. Okay.
So the best tequila is 5 years. 5 years old.
Okay. Okay, guys. Now you speak Spanish. Speak English for me. For me.
Oh, right here.
Okay, guys, welcome to my office. Today, gonna try tequila, okay?
All right, get run, get run.
I give you a cup and we drink tequila together, okay? Don't buy the drink alone, remember? And anybody in celebration something or just vacation? Thank you. Just vacation? Yeah. Okay.
Go here, here, tequila.
You are the vacation, not the probation.
Okay, thank you.
You live in California? Which part of California?
Yeah.
Yeah, which part?
Los Angeles, LA.
No, I don't drink. I'm okay.
You don't drink?
No.
Why?
I drink for her. I drink for her.
You drink?
I
You
drink
gotta
double.
take my share.
Double,
How
double.
about him? You wanna drink or not? Yeah, you got it? Okay. And we're gonna drink together, okay?
So what kind are we drinking? Agave tequila?
The best tequila. Today you're gonna drink the best tequila.
Then you
okay?
want to hold the bottle? I take picture of you that.
Okay.
It's over 5 years.
Watch out.
This is Cristalino. We put on the 3 years on the white oak barrel and we clear with the carbono filtro. And we make it dry.
So why tequila we call
Chạy gần mới thấy chữ được.
city name?
Yeah, the people know which one is good tequila.
Bà tù cái bottle này.
Go to.
Đấy rồi nè, bà để ngoài này nè.
This is the
Yeah.
blanco,
Bỏ
silver,
cái này
like
xuống.
that.
Bỏ cái máy.
The good tequila is añejo.
Lấy máy anh nè. Ok, ok, được, lấy máy anh đi.
Thấy vậy là thấy xạo rồi đó. Cái nó bỏ cái máy xuống đi. Đã không muốn thôi, anh làm như anh muốn thiệt đi.
Tắt lên, tắt lên. Tắt lên. Tắt lên, đỏ, nước đỏ rồi. Ok. Ok.
Hold on, I take picture of Don Tadio.
Rồi. Dạ, lẹ lên. Rồi. Ok. Cho người khác.
Okay.
Drink the whole bottle, half a bottle.
Uống cho chết, uống cho chết.
And nobody drink alone. You have to wait for me.
不要喝，等他指令再喝。对，要
Oh,
一起
these are agave, right?
Yeah, blue agave.
我感觉我可能期
That is aloe vera. That
Oh,
is
this is
aloe vera.
Which one is
That's
agave?
agave the front. Remember when I show you?
Okay.
That is aloe vera.
因为我感觉味儿一样的。
Okay, guys.
Ngon chưa?
Okay, now tequila. Making a toast. Ready? We're making a toast. You repeat with me.
Give me one. I just pretend I'm gonna toast.
Oh. You want to try some?
No.
No? Okay. Repeat with me, okay? I'm going to say, we're not chicken.
We're not chicken.
We're not shy.
We're not shy.
We all drink tequila.
We all drink tequila.
And then gonna fly. And then gonna fly.
All right. Oh, no, three. Oh.
Tequila.
How was it?
You
like it?
Excellent day, excellent day.
Uống thiệt này, vô này, anh Minh uống đi, chụp chưa? Rồi uống nha, 1, 2, 3, tequila.
Tequila. This is right here. This is more small. Okay. This is for you.
Đứng lại đây em chụp cái này cho. Chúng lấy cái xe này nè, cái xe rượu này nè.
Được.
Đứng vô đi chị. Vô đi.
这个知道。
chưa rồi ok
铁岭瓶儿，铁岭的时候，你把这带铁岭的牛逼了。
You live in California, but
nè
Uống ghê á.
Korean.
nè
Uống sách vậy sao được?
Anh cùng ly.
Rồi cùng ly đi, chia.
nè lấy mảnh nè ok được
Đưa đây em lấy rồi.
Canby.
Này anh đưa lên cái xúc đó.
đúng rồi nè cùng ly
Họ tưởng tôi là tay nhậu gì đó theo.
Cambe.
Uống đi.
rồi chụp
Rồi. Chụp nhiều công lắm á.
ok
Which one do you like more?
Ngon á.
ngon first one better yeah
This one's so the fighter.
Okay, the second one is more better. Okay, I'm gonna give you the second one.
oh third one oh man third one ok
Tamarin hả? Tamarin đồ. Bây giờ số bạn chỉ bật chén của ngon. 不是，我那意思拿你们小的10块钱都买下来呀。哈尔滨有一些买个例子。
rồi đây thank you
你给人10块钱。
không nặng đâu
非得要给人小费，要不就搁这买。愿意买可以买，可以不买，可以给人。不要说少了，给他奶奶。
We're making another toast, okay?
another toast nè wait tip rồi
Ready, guys?
tip
We're making another toast. Okay? Okay, gonna say, I leave the light.
I live the life
I leave the love.
I live the love
I leave the money.
I live the money
The most important
most important
is a cow.
the hell
Look.
look oh đi nào
This tequila I call the king and the queen. Not for anybody.
that's good this one the best
This is the best.
they're the best yeah the best
Probably not.
Anh uống nổi không?
no được
Lấy từng cái.
My soul different. This one's so.
This is 7 years on the barrel.
This one's so.
Cái nào tốt nhất anh? Cái nào ngon nhất?
cái nào cũng ngon hết
I'm gonna give you the flavor tequila.
Ôi trời ơi, còn một cái
one more ok
这个不成人吗？
This is the passion fruit.
nè tiếp đây nè ôi ơi wow
Nó phải cho nó nói.
rồi
完了，这个还想要点儿。好喝吗？好喝。
trời ơi
还有这儿，我肯定有卖
这个
this is the fourth one
Nó có cả chục chai.
that's the fourth one ok one more
I'm gonna do another toast, okay?
Another toast.
Stay with me, okay?
Okay.
Say 1,
one
2,
2
3.
3
We drink tequila
drink tequila
because it's free.
that's the best part that's the best part
You have to say 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh,
Toma
yeah.
tequila.
This is a good one.
good rồi
You know why? Because he said the best for last.
cái này ngọt
Now I give you the peanut butter.
cái này ngọt ngon má cái này ngon
He
á
said the best for last.
This is we sell here.
Yeah.
oh she want to buy it
cái này cái mùi này giống ổi vậy đó hả
Okay.
Passion fruit.
Oh, passion fruit. Okay. Good, good. Good.
目vàng đó đó.
那个他说不限量。
Maybe I should test the passion fruit one.
Okay.
Nói đi.
Hít được rõ đi. Hít được rõ. Chắc là lâu quá rồi. Okay.
Tequila.
Tequila.
Amor.
Amor.
Salud.
Salud.
Mucho dinero.
Mucho dinero.
Mucho tequila.
Mucho tequila. Ngon quá. Quá ngon. Răng.
Now I'm gonna give you the coffee.
这么混不哎不那啥上头，这么混这哥。
咖啡味儿的。
Cái này nó đỡ, cái này không nặng lắm.
Trời ơi. Này là coffee, này coffee. Ông uống được anh uống cho.
Okay, guys. So after that, I got more. Okay.
Okay.
If you want to try more, I got the mango.
Oh.
I got.
Oh man.
This is the coconut.
All right.
Coconut. Okay. And if you want to get something for my house, you can get it. You can pay with a Visa, MasterCard, credit card, whatever. Okay.
Okay.
So just let me know which one you like it. I probably just go to the front. The lady bubble wrap for you.
Okay. Okay.
And on US only take 3 liters per person.
Oh.
After that you pay some taxes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The flavor the same price. Any bottle the same price. 800 pesos.
Oh, 800 well.
800 pesos. The first one, this is cost 1,050 pesos.
Oh.
The second one, this is 1,350 pesos.
Oh, okay.
The best tequila, 7 years, this is cost 1,850
Oh, okay.
pesos. You want to get something? We envelope with the bubble and take care for you, okay?
Okay, good,
So
good.
we're gonna try mango and coconut, okay?
Okay, one more.
Ready?
Okay.
Up,
Up,
down,
down,
center,
center,
enter.
and.
Let me try the coconut.
Coconut, of course. You need to-
So the coconut, how much? No, that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Này đắng lắm.
我就想喝个蒙古的，这是Coco 的。
Được rồi. Uống thì bảo uống là say á. Say đây. Bây giờ tôi thấy
Người vậy thôi nhưng mà
Cái thằng này mà mỗi một phái đoàn lại nó uống không biết bao nhiêu chai thằng này.
nó quen rồi, anh nào nó quen rồi.
Okay, guys, so if you think I did a good job, if you like it, diss me. My boss is right here. If you don't put anything.
okay, good, okay.
Señores, Merry Christmas and
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Okay, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Feliz Navidad.
Đấy, rồi đã.
Anh này dám không có rượu nữa. Tôi một đứa trống đi.
This is the mango.
Okay.
How much the coconut?
800 pesos.
Ôi đắt dữ chứ.
Cái chủ ở dân gian này.
Why it's so expensive?
No, I'm not expensive.
It's the same I buy the Hennessy bottle.
You can buy commercial in the United States, but that is the piece of shit, not the real shit. This is organic tequila.
Nó có cái tên vậy mà được.
Say rồi đó.
Vui là vui quá. Gì mà vui vậy?
Anh Linh còn nhớ đường về không nha?
Con.
Nhớ đường về không?
Okay, guys, so after that, if you want to get something, just stop. You get
Cho nó đô la này.
Còn 5 đô rồi,
And
còn
we
5 đô.
got different bottles of the tequila.
Coffee
I told
drink.
you here is the whole
Ivory. Okay. Garden.
garden.
Okay.
Cannot think about the word. Lấy cây cà phê chưa?
Đi.
Dưới cây cà phê đi.
Rồi hai.
Cái này chị mua lộn rồi, vanilla chứ phải tequila.
Thôi, la được rồi, la được, cái gì cũng la hết. La được rồi.
Chị đừng có la anh Minh nha. Một là chị la anh Minh, hai là anh Minh la chị.
Cái này là để nấu bánh đó.
Để vô bánh hoặc là chị nấu chè cũng được đó chị.
Đúng rồi.
Thôi không sao.
Very good, this one very good one.
Chừng nào vô công vô nói thôi nha.
Không, em có, nhà em lúc nào cũng có chị à. Ăn là nước lạnh đó.
Người dân ở đó thì giàu không?
Ôi giời ơi, mấy thằng ở Trung Đông nó giàu lắm chị ơi.
Sống như thế
Chị tới cái Jumeirah Hotel của nó với lại cái hotel mà 7 sao á. Vậy mà con của em ấy, chị biết không, nó reserve cái brunch ở cái khách sạn đó đó. Cái mình nó theo cái đồng hồ ở đây phải cái giờ ở đây phải không? Rồi mới đi ra cái nhà thờ, đi bộ ra nhà thờ rồi đi cái ferry trước chứ, tại vì cái ferry nó ngay đó. Qua cái ferry đi biển chơi, rồi ăn con ốc bên đó đó. Rồi xong rồi mới đi thuyền trở về mới đi bộ ra cái nhà thờ rồi mới đi bộ ra cái hotel. Nó bán qua Mỹ đó, cái tục mà QC, tục quality control của nó rất là khó. Thành ra nó được chọn nhất là mấy cái tiệm lớn như chẳng hạn shopping ở Bloomingdale này nha, shopping ở Nordstrom với lại Walmart.
They opened yesterday, Christmas Day.
Cái material nhìn thấy khác liền à, không giống. Ngay cả chị đi shop ở cái tiệm M&M H&M cũng vậy nữa. Cái quần áo của nó chị giặt vài lần nó bèo nhèo à. Chắc nó thả mình trong này cho mình đi bộ trong này đó.
Ông đó flea market.
Cái đó.
Flea market không phải đây.
Đây đằng sau này.
Trước nè, đây là flea market trước nè. Flea market trước này. Trong cái tòa nhà đó.
Thấy đằng sau lưng mình mà nó để là Mercado đằng kia mà.
Mercado. Đây, this flea market.
Do what?
Flea market.
That's the flea market.
Yeah, flea market right here. I can
They have
tell.
a store inside.
Yeah.
Sau cái kè
The
mày thấy
second
có cái
floor
mặt cái
too.
chỗ này chắc nó bán cho tourist, đằng sau kia là của local. Em thấy nó vừa đi ngang
You
à.
wanna walk right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Flea market, this one inside here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, flea market kìa.
I know, but I saw the other one.
Cái này. Có đâu đi.
Này nó chạy vô đây rồi làm sao nó đi ra đây trời.
How can you get out?
Nó biết chưa?
Nó biết cái này.
Khu này là khu thật cổ của nó rồi đấy nha, mấy cái nhà nó có tên hết à.
Ôi ơi.
Chạy lên tới trên này tới.
Oh man.
Bà lấy máy quay phim.
Đây nè, casa nè, đó, cầu đó. This one, right?
Yeah.
Where you get in?
You can go in.
Where?
No.
Cannot
No, can you go in?
Close. No.
Close?
No, it's only right here.
Đây nè.
Go.
Sao cũng bỏ nhau phải không?
Không bỏ. Rốt cuộc hình như bà đi vô cái chỗ rehab đó, bà lấy cái thằng đó.
Thế à?
Cái thằng đó nó không tên tuổi.
Hả?
Nó trẻ hơn bà, nó không tên tuổi gì hết. Mà là nó cũng là cái thằng
Quá chào.
Để với hạt nhau là cái đó đó.
Dạ, rồi nhưng mà bà cũng khôn lắm. Bà lấy nó, bà bắt nó phải ký cái giấy tờ giống như là prenup đó chị. Cái tài sản nào của bà trước khi bà lấy nó là của bà. Bà cũng ngoại nhiều.
Valor del deseo de la familia humana. Escuchemos con atención. Ana presentó el niño a Eli y le dijo: escúchame, Señor, te juro por mi vida que yo
chụp hình lần đầu tiên đó.
Đúng có gần đó, ba xa lắm, nó gần có
Thấy không?
And you get any question about art, and Picasso's uncle simply took a tug of his cigar, walked over, blew smoke into his face. The baby started coughing and then started breathing after that. So he was brought to life by cigar smoke, a very interesting way to come into the world. Now, when we look at it, and he got first-hand teachings from his dad. It started off from a very, very young age. You can see only about 7 years old at this stage. At this stage, I was probably still eating crayons, right? This guy was creating masterworks from a very, very young age. You can see over here. Anyone ever been to the Picasso Museum in Barcelona? You remember seeing this piece over here, the First Communion? Probably one of my favorite pieces by Picasso. He did this at the age of 15. At the age of 15. Right, he received his first art lesson, if you will, from his dad at the age of 7. While his dad was in his studio busy creating an artwork, Picasso was sort of hanging around studying his dad. And at one point his dad said, you know, why don't you come over and draw like a little bird in the corner of this artwork? Picasso came up, drew a bird, and his dad said, you know what, from that moment on he decided, that's it, I'm going to hang up my paintbrush, I will never paint again. From now on, I am going to focus all my energy on teaching my son, because he saw that raw talent that was there from a very, very, very young age. And this is something that we don't often get to see, you know. But funny enough, when it comes to raw talent or being born talented, Picasso believes that we're all born artistic talents, right? In fact, he says here, every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once we grow up, right? These are very, very big words if you can think about that. Peter Max says it so well. He said, you know what? We're all creatives. We live on creation. We receive creativity from a creator. Right? It's all something that naturally flows through us. And it's our parents that simply decide, or we as the parents rather at this point, that decide whether we can allow that creativity to blossom or to wither. And we do it in small ways. And I catch myself doing it a lot of times. I would walk up, I've got a little 9-year-old little girl back at home, and she would be busy drawing something furiously on a piece of paper or whatever the case may be. And I would walk up and I'd go, oh, make sure you make the sky blue, make sure you make the grass green, make sure you color within the lines, right? Peter Max's mom, for example, would say to him, you know what, here's a whole bunch of paint. Make a big mess, don't worry, we'll clean up after you. And this is what Picasso's talking about right here. Allowing that creativity to blossom, to grow. Just say, you know what, go ahead, make a big mess, don't worry, we'll clean up after you. We allow that creativity to grow. The art of children, folks, is so inspiring. Think about it. Kids have not been subjected to the way the outside world thinks, the way we believe, all these kind of things. It's just natural creativity. In fact, Picasso, when he just moved into the Cubistic movement, he actually had an exhibition out, and there were art critics that came up to him and said to Monsieur Picasso, we look at your art and it looks like it was done by a child. You know what Picasso said? He said, thank you very much. That's probably one of the greatest compliments I've ever received. Because at the age of 9, I could draw like Raphael, but it took me my entire life to learn how to paint like a child. This is what most of these artists strive for, that pure, raw creativity that we see in the art of children. This is what we strive for as artists. This is why when you see artworks like Jean Miro, for example, people look at it and they go, well, that's just a whole bunch of squiggly lines. Even Peter Max, when you look at the Umbrella Man or the flowers, people go, well, my 5-year-old can do that. Peter Max is a photorealistic artist. Picasso is a photorealistic artist. It took them years and years and years to develop that style, that raw creativity of a child, and that is what they're transforming into fine art, right? Now, when it comes to his personal life or his love life, to call Picasso a bit of a playboy would be an understatement, right? He was married twice, but he had numerous girlfriends all across the globe. The two great loves of his life, firstly, the one that he married was Olga Koklova, a Russian ballet dancer, and later in his life, said that his last words were, drink to me, right? That's the way to go, drink to me, 92 years old, drink to me, see ya, adios. What a great way to go, what a great life this man had. Folks, as far as his art career was, it all kicked off. Picasso realized from a very young age that he had the talent. He could see that he was destined for stardom. He could feel the passion that he had for art, but he realized one thing: if I want to be a great artist, I I have to get to Paris. This is the mecca of the art world. This is where the big names, people at that stage like Henri Matisse, right? One of these big icons at that stage. This is where these guys are making their chops. This is where they're doing this great thing for the art world. And Picasso decided, you know what? I need to get to Paris. And it was at the age of about 18, 19 years old, he decided to travel through to Paris. He also decided he was going to, instead of signing his name, Pablo Ruiz, which was his dad's name, he was now going to take on his mom's name and sign Pablo Picasso, right? This is at the stage where he changed his name and started signing it to Pablo Picasso. It was also around about this stage where great artworks like Demoiselle d'Avignon that you see over here, maybe an image that some of you might have seen in the past as well, this became one of his highest selling images ever. Okay, it sold at auction for over $179.3 million. A phenomenal piece. But at this stage, no one really knew about this. Okay, Picasso had started working on it, but then stored it away. He didn't show it to the world when it was done because he kept going back to it and kept touching up and kept changing things on it. And what you will also notice is that these ladies that he's created over here, it almost looks like they're all wearing these masks, like these African tribal masks, right? This is also a period that he went through in his career, and we're going to be touching on that next, speaking about his artistic styles. Now, Picasso lived the life of several different artists throughout his career, folks, and every time he changed to a different style, a different medium, a different movement, the art world fell in love with him all over again. And one of the first ones that we're going to be touching on today is the Blue Period. Anyone ever heard of Picasso's Blue Period before? This was such a great time in the art world, but not so much a great time in Picasso's career. The whole idea behind the Blue Period, Picasso had moved to France, and he was living with a buddy of his called Carlos Casagemas. They were living together, they were painting together, they were partying together, they were pretty much joined at the hip. Also, they decided to fall in love with the same woman, as it would happen, right? Fell in love with the same woman, and Picasso, being the man that he is, said, you know what? I'm not going to get involved. I'm going to step back. I'm going to allow my buddy Casagemas here to pursue this young lady. I'm not going to get involved with this. Casagemas took this young lady through to a cafe where he had the intentions of proposing to her. And at this cafe, she said to him, sorry, I cannot marry you. I'm in fact in love with your friend Picasso. Now, why Casagemas had a firearm with him that day, I still don't know. But it was said that he drew the firearm from his side, pointed it at her, fired off a shot, completely missed, and then turned the gun on himself and killed himself right there in the cafe. And when Picasso heard the news of his young friend's passing and why it happened, it absolutely destroyed him to the point where his entire outlook, not just on life, but his entire outlook on art, changed. That is why when you have a look at artworks that are from the Blue Period, it doesn't inspire happy thoughts. You can feel the heaviness, you can feel the sadness, the depression, everything that Picasso was going through at this stage, and that is what the Blue Period carries with him. But all of that changed when a new love came into his life in the form of Fernande Olivier. She inspired a new artistic style for Picasso, which became known as the Rose Period. You can now see when you look at images like this, it has a little bit more of a happy feel, a warm, inviting feel, a more romantic or loving feel to it. Picasso also started experimenting with creating lovers, creating circus folk and carnival folk, right? He fell in love with the idea of going to the circus, the carnival, and this also inspired new images and new characters to come into his artworks. It was at this stage when he started work on Demoiselle d'Avignon, a piece that I showed you a little bit earlier, with those rosy pink colors. But he wasn't done with it yet, because he actually had a fascination, not only with an art style, but also with another artist called Henri Matisse. Henri Matisse, at that point, was a big deal in the art world. I beg your pardon. A big deal in the artwork, and Picasso was fascinated with Matisse. Why was he so famous? He became close to Matisse, and also went and visited an African exhibit on African masks with Matisse. It was at this stage that he fell in love with the idea of the African mask. We have one of our artists in our collection, a guy called Anatol Krasniansky, that says it so well. He says, you know what? We realize that we all wear masks. Different times of the day, we wear different masks. You, for example, at the moment are all wearing your vacation mask, right? When you get home, you're wearing your home mask. When you're at work, you're wearing your work mask. When you're with your friends, you're wearing your friend's mask, family mask. The only time you're not wearing a mask is when you're truly by yourself. We all have these different masks that we have for different people that we're with, right? This whole idea inspired a new style, and it was at this point where Demoiselle d'Avignon finally got released with the African mask on. And when it got released, it shook the world. Everyone looked at it and they were disgusted in it. No one liked it. Little did they know, right? This became one of Picasso's most powerful pieces. This was a turning point in Picasso's career. So we spoke about the fascination with Henri Matisse. Henri Matisse had a young atelier working with him, a guy called Georges Braque. Now an atelier, for those of you who don't know, an atelier is someone that works with an artist, and they're the guys that usually do the sort of the grunt work, all right? They will go and touch up on a painting, they will help with the framing, sort of stretching the canvases, all those kind of things. And he had this atelier that worked with him, Henri Matisse. And Picasso said, you know what, how about I approach this guy and say to him, why don't you come over and work with me? You and me, we're gonna do great things together. And so Georges Braque joined Picasso, and together they pioneered something that became known as Cubism. Right? They went to an exhibition at that stage of a guy called Cézanne, and they went to an exhibition and they noticed how he had broken down pretty much the entire world into its most primitive form, into cubes. And they pretty much ran with the idea of breaking everything down into cubes. When we have a look at this image over here, for example, Picasso explains it so well. He says, if I take a bottle of rum and I put it on the table and I paint it exactly as it stands, you could all see that's a bottle of rum. Right? What if I took that bottle of rum, threw it up into the air, let it fall down, break it to 1,000 pieces, sweep all those shards together and paint them exactly as they lie? Is that not the same bottle of rum? Yeah. He said, well, I do that in my mind. It is the idea of taking an object, pulling it apart, and viewing it from all different angles, looking from the front. That is the whole idea behind Cubism. This is a bottle of rum, for example, right? But as I said at the last seminar, if you can see the bottle of rum, I suspect it's not the first bottle of rum you've seen today, right? That's the whole idea behind Cubism, taking an object, pulling it apart and viewing it from all different angles. That all grew when we moved into synthetic Cubism. Now you can see a little bit more color, a little bit more content, a little bit more shape coming through there. But still, when you have a look at a work of art by Picasso, and you can see the nose coming out here, an ear at the top, and one eye down here, and the other one up here, that is the idea behind Cubism, pulling an object apart and viewing it from all different angles, looking from the front. From there, he dabbled into a new style. There was something that was on the up at that point, and was the idea of surrealism. Surrealism was very, very popular. Picasso never classified himself as a surrealist, but he dabbled in it. The whole Freudian study of the mind became very, very popular, and artists started painting from that subconscious mind, that dreamlike state. People like Salvador Dali, for example, would sit in a chair and have an easel with a canvas and paints, everything ready to go next to him, and he would put a bowl in his lap and a spoon underneath his chin. And he would meditate to the point of sort of hallucinating, right? So sort of dozing off, going into that dreamlike state. And as he would doze off, the spoon would drop, hit the bowl, wake him up, and he would start painting while he was still in that hypnagogic state to access his dreams. That is why when you have a look at a surrealistic work of art, definitely by Dali, for example, the first thing you think is, wow, that's a lot of drugs, right? But no, it's that painting from your subconscious mind, that painting from a dreamlike state that became so fascinating at this point. Here are just a few of the works of art that made Picasso such a well-established artist. And these are artworks that sold well after his passing. And you can see over here, La Femme d'Alger, a dedication piece that he created to Henri Matisse that sold for $179.4 million. Demoiselle d'Avignon that we spoke about, $179.3 million. Nude Green Leaves and Bust and Asleep were both images that he created of one of the great loves of his life, Marie-Therese Voltaire. And you can see over here selling for 106 and 60 million respectively. Just a few of these. Speaking of powerful imagery, folks, I touched on this image yesterday at our grand finale auction. Guernica was a piece that shook the art world once again to its foundation. After the bombing of the city of Guernica, during the Spanish Civil War, the Second World War, during that period over there, the city of Guernica got savagely bombed. Picasso, hearing of this, wanted to show his disgust in war. And he went and created this monstrous piece, 25 foot wide by 11 foot tall. And what it did was it showed the bombing of the city of Guernica in graphic detail. The flames, the dead people and animals all in this image. It shook the world completely. In fact, it was said that while he was creating this piece, Nazi officers actually came in, viewed this piece in his studio and said to him, "Did you do this?" And Picasso said, "No, you did." That was the power of this piece, to the point where a print of this piece actually hangs, or a limited edition work of this image actually hangs in the United Nations offices in New York as a message to world leaders. The decisions you make influence not only your citizens, but also the citizens all around the world. That is the power of pieces like this. His Barcelona suite, folks, this was when he was transformed into the new artist that we knew and love him at this point. When he moved from Barcelona, when he moved to Paris, he realized the art mecca was in Paris. On his journey through to Paris, he started capturing these images of these amazing people and sights and sounds around him and started creating this Barcelona suite. It was also at this stage that he realized that he had something called the duende, right? The duende was something that the Spanish believed in at that stage was a benevolent demon that would possess artists and take them over and start creating these phenomenal artworks. Picasso, for example, would create artworks. He would stand back and look at them and he wouldn't have an idea of how he actually created it. And this was the whole idea behind it. He said the duende would take over and pretty much create these images for him. The Vollard suite. Now we spoke about the idea of etching. Some of you were at the auction yesterday. You might have seen at our VIP event a couple of nights ago. The whole idea behind etching, folks, is the artist would take a copper plate, they would cover it with an acid-resistant wax. They would take an etching needle called a burin, and they would scrape through the wax the area that they wish to etch. Whatever they wish to print gets scraped through the wax, not digging into the copper, but just enough to expose the copper, right? You will then take that copper plate, dip it into acid. The acid will be repelled from everywhere that's covered with wax, but wherever the copper is exposed, it will attack the copper and bite away at the copper, creating these ink-holding grooves into the copper. Now, once you take the plate out and you wipe the wax off, you will now see a sort of a ghost-like image of what you wish to print has been bitten into this plate. All you do now, you roll ink over it, wipe the raised surface clear, place a piece of damp paper on top, put it through a printing press, and once you lift it up, it pulls your etching onto that paper. This is probably one of the most time-consuming and laborious processes when it comes to printmaking. And for this reason, it is very, very sought after. When it comes to artistic geniuses, folks, etchings is what people are looking for. When we think of Rembrandt, for example, Rembrandt was known as the greatest etcher of all time. He's one of the pioneers. He created a little over 300 etchings in his entire career. Picasso, at the age of 86, touched on the 347 suite, which I'm going to show you in a couple of seconds. Actually went and created 347 etchings in the space of 7 months. All of these artists do this to challenge themselves. And here we see the Vollard suite, firstly, that was created for this art dealer called Ambroise Vollard, right over here. Picasso ceramics. So 1945, late 1945, early 1946, Picasso and a buddy of his called Louis Fort traveled through to a place called Valoris in France, and they went to the Reme or the Mudura foundry at that point, and they fell in love with the idea of creating ceramics, to the point where Picasso left the foundry, came back a year later with a box full of images and said, you know what? I want to transform my art into ceramic. He realized that his art, even at that stage, was extremely valuable, and he wanted to create something that everyone could go ahead and collect. Have a look at this and I'll talk to you right after.
A well-known writer on Picasso said that he created a ceramic poem through his playful meditations on the mineral world and its transformation through fire. When he was 19 years old, Picasso came to Paris for the first time, and he met a sculptor named Paco Durio. And Durio introduced him to Gauguin's aesthetic concept, which was about primitive art and about creating an art form that had no specific geographical essence, no anthropological identity. And that concept fueled Picasso throughout his life. And 40 years later, when he began to work on his ceramics, he was able to create an art form that was completely unidentifiable in terms of any geographic area or anthropological identity. It was just Picasso's own ceramic universe. Initially, Picasso wanted to create his ceramics to give people an opportunity to collect his work who couldn't afford his paintings, which even in the 1940s were extraordinarily valuable. In fact, he actually traded one of his still life paintings for a house in the south of France after the war. So he began to make kind of utilitarian ceramics, but eventually he really explored the medium and revolutionized it. Much like the invention of collage that he created, he was creating an entirely new way of looking at an art form and transforming it. In terms of subjects, Picasso had a wonderful, playful panorama of ideas. He created images of the bullfight, images of still lifes, animals, birds, fish, owls, even his pet goat Esmeralda, and images of his wife Jacqueline, whom he met at the Mudura foundry in Valoris, where he created his ceramics. Mythology played an important part in the subjects of Picasso's ceramics. And he felt connected to that Mediterranean spirit that goes all the way back to the Etruscans, the Greeks, the Romans, and the Iberians. He loved the fact that he was working in the south of France in Vallauris, and that area was connected to those centuries and centuries of artisans who create so many spectacular examples of ceramic sculpture. In his ceramic imagery, which really runs parallel to his etching engraving period, Picasso was able to create a remarkable sort of abbreviation of form. He would take the simplest lines and elements and create such a marvelous expression with them. Particularly, these are noticeable in his faces that he created, these amazing plates that he produced in ceramic. The interest in Picasso ceramics has continued to grow, and justifiably so. We see in his ceramics another example of his unlimited imagination, his power, his incredible creativity, and now, 50 years later, we are still recognizing the fact that Pablo Picasso was one of the greatest artists of all time and will go down in history as one of the most important figures ever to emerge in the history of art.
So there you have it. That's a breakdown from art historian and senior gallery director at the Park West Museum in Southfield, Michigan, Maurice Shapiro, just on why Picasso ceramics are so important, why they're so important to the world, why they have been so important for many, many decades and are just getting comes to Picasso's artwork. As I said before, you know what, when back in the day when Picasso was an artist, these art dealers were telling people, you know what, you need to collect Picasso's artworks, and now we know exactly why that is. Now we see the level of fame in media and the level of fame all around the world, right? This is the series that I spoke about a little bit earlier. Speaking of what we actually have on board, we actually have one of these 347 Suite etchings right here on board the ship. This is Picasso at the age of 86, kicking against the new art movement at that stage, an art movement called Dadaism, right? This is where people say, you know what, we're gonna take this dirty ashtray full of cigarette butts, put a glass case over it and say, now it's art. We're gonna take a urinal, turn it upside down, sign it, call it fountain, and now it's art. And Picasso said, no, this is not art. I will show you what true art looks like. And he went and created 347 etchings in the space of 7 months, folks. Think of that for a second. Rembrandt, the greatest etcher of all time, created his body of etchings, a little over 300 etchings throughout his entire career. Picasso did 347 etchings in the space of 7 months. Once again, to challenge himself. All of these artists went and studied the great Rembrandt when it came to etching. And we see them now at the end of their careers sort of bringing out these phenomenal etchings. And the 347 Suite's another great example of that. So folks, just to sum up again why Picasso was so famous, all of these different mediums, all of these different movements that he touched on, and every time he did, he had the Midas touch. The art world would follow him and fall in love with him all over again. When we think of Picasso back in the day, someone actually said to me yesterday, you know what, when we think of Thomas Kincaid's artwork, he's so commercialized, you can see his artwork everywhere. They said the same thing about Pablo Picasso back in the day. Right? He's so commercialized, you can see his artwork everywhere. Why should we collect him? Right? The same thing was said about Picasso back in the day. And nowadays, if you actually wish to collect a Picasso,